Are you someone who is pursuing a lot of creative goals? Maybe you're building a lot of side hustles, focusing on creative projects, finding time outside of a day job to create. Well, I'd like to propose to you a concept that may feel a little counterintuitive, but it's actually helped me be a lot more creatively productive. And that is taking a rest day. Now, this sounds like not that big of a deal, right? You got a weekend, you might do a little scrolling, lounging, taking time away. But if you're trying to build things, you might see every available moment as a time that you should be working towards a goal. I can relate. I have a variety of creative endeavors I'm working on at all times. If you're new here, let me introduce myself. I'm Genevieve. I'm a multi-passionate creative. I am self-employed. This is my work studio. I am a tattoo artist. I also do digital illustration, digital collage, paintings, jewelry, a variety of art forms. And this can feel like 7 days a week, 24/7 kind of thing. I'm always pondering, maybe I should work on this. I have a few moments here. I should, again, more shoulds. Should work on these things when I have the time. A couple years ago, I read a really great book that I highly recommend if you're a creative person and you're running into challenges producing the way you would like to. And it's a book called Make Your Art No Matter What by Beth Pickens. She explains it from the perspective of an art coach who is not an artist herself, but she coaches artists as a mental health professional to find ways around creative blocks, how to optimize their time, how to think of things differently so they can have more energy to create. So she discussed in the first chapter, which is very important, about time, because all of us feel like we don't have enough time. And everyone's needs are individual. You might be a morning person, you might be a night owl, you might have young children, you might have other jobs to tend to, other responsibilities. And creating seems maybe frivolous or not important or just a hobby. But if you are striving to make it a more important part of your life, maybe you're trying to start an Etsy shop, maybe you're trying to make a little money on the side from your creative works, and you feel really motivated to explore your style and creativity, then you're going to have to get really good at time management. When I'm speaking of a rest day, I'm not talking about rotting in bed or scrolling. I'm talking about taking a specific time, 24-hour period, that you really focus on nurturing yourself in other ways that have nothing to do with making money. We live in capitalism, and making money is like a constant churn at all times for a lot of us. It's hard to turn that off, especially if you're self-employed, especially if you have a lot of interests. It's hard to know what to focus on when. Since I started taking the advice from the book on taking a rest day every week, I actually have more energy the other days of the week to focus on a variety of creative activities as well as other endeavors, other responsibilities. I feel energized in a way I wasn't expecting. So let me go over a few recommendations for a proper creativity rest day. Here's some points to keep in mind if you're considering restructuring your week to allow for more creative time and why you might want to do that. First, creative recovery. Your brain is not a machine, it's a garden. Rest is the water. No input means deeper, richer output later. I have definitely found this to be true. I'm always working on a variety of projects. I draw designs for tattoos for clients. I'm getting ready to release a coloring book I've been illustrating, and that's been a really big project with 40 illustrations. I'm working on some calendar designs. Beyond that, I make things for pleasure. I sew things, always thinking of maybe editing a video, writing my next newsletter for Substack. This is on my mind at all times. And I find that taking a day that I give myself permission to not solve anything, not achieve any goals, to just focus on like letting everything hit bottom. sorting through what I did that week, thinking about it, maybe going back and looking at the drawings I did. I'm not working on them really, I'm just digesting. Prevent burnout. This is very important. It's really easy if you set your own schedule or if you have a lot of flexibility and you are a motivated person and you have a lot of interests to pile on more and not really take a weekend. Keep everything on the burner at all times. And we hear a lot about burnout, but it's hard to take a break. We have our phones, we get emails, we get texts. How do you take a break from all of that and why? It's good to keep in mind that hustle is not a personality trait. Stepping back lets your nervous system chill and keeps the creative fire sustainable. I think there's a lot of talk going around about how the nervous system and balancing that relates to creative output. It's pretty hard to be creative, which is a soft, relaxed state, if you're tight and thinking about money and bills and hustling. Those things aren't really the same energy. So allowing yourself rest time helps you separate from that so you can think about it in a new way. Reconnecting with joy. When you're not producing or promoting, you're free to just be. That space lets you remember why you love making art in the first place. How are you supposed to ever get inspiration if you're always working on stuff? Part of the creative process is new inspiration, which means a nature walk where you really pay attention to the colors. I like to go on a walk without any music even. I feel like makes me more present, and I listen to the birds, I see the colors. This is very inspiring. I might get out my phone to take a picture of some beautiful flowers because the colors are amazing and I want to use them in an illustration. But overall, I really focus on just being present. I feel like it relaxes my brain in a different way. Strengthening intuition. Rest silences the noise of algorithm pressure, comparison traps, and inner critics. That silence is where your true voice hangs out. You could also say that's a way to just connect with your inner child. It sounds sometimes a little bit cheesy to talk about talking to your inner child, but that's who really likes to play and make art. So getting in touch with your inner voice helps you be more decisive in your creative project. Modeling healthy boundaries. Taking a day off on purpose teaches your family, clients, and audience that your energy has value and you don't exist solely to produce. It is normal to be a human and take a break and not think about making a reel or posting something or what's your next project. It's very reasonable to want to take space. I am an introvert. I also need space from social time and to actually not talk as much. My job is very social. When I have clients who come in, we might spend hours talking. I might talk to multiple people in a day, and sometimes very intensive conversation. So taking a day where I talk less actually helps me feel more talkative the rest of the week. Restore the body. Art is a physical expression, digital or not. Your eyes, hands, shoulders, and brain all need repair time. This is maintenance and not indulgence. This has been really important for me in my work as a tattoo artist. I definitely don't book tattoos every day of the week, but my hands and my wrists and my back and my body do get fatigued. And taking a break helps ensure that my hand health stays pretty perky so that I can keep working into the future. This goes for a variety of art mediums. I don't know about you, but no matter how nice of a setup I have, I always end up sitting on the floor hunched over a project. And I sometimes correlate making art with having some back pain. I get lost in the process and I forget what I'm doing. So having a day of rest where I really focus on self-care helps my body recover as well. Expand your perspective. When you step away from creating, you start noticing textures, light, overheard conversations, weird dreams, all raw material for future work. This is really delicious, I think. On these days, I often watch movies that are really beautiful, like beautiful cinematography. They might be old favorites I've seen many times. It might be a time that I save up beautiful media to take in, movies, a magazine, a coffee table book, so that I can really absorb it. Create your own sacred rhythm. Having a reliable weekly pause, even if it's just a few hours, builds trust in your routine and offers a symbolic reset button for your week. I find that it's very comforting to know that on Sunday, for most of the day, maybe just the afternoon, depends on what's happening that day, I grant myself permission to really rest. That doesn't mean laying around for me. I like to be active, so taking my dogs to the dog park, enjoying coffee and chatting with my partner, having a lovely breakfast, maybe ordering in some takeout. It has to be easy and pleasurable and flowy and not take a lot of decision making. That's part of the rest, is reducing decisions. This feels really good, and knowing that I have that time at the end of the week helps the rest of the week feel less tiring and exhausting, and I have more energy for a variety of things. Nurturing the non-artist parts of you. You're not just a creator, you're a friend, a parent, a partner, an animal snuggler, a soup stirrer, a sky gazer. Rest days let all those selves breathe. You can just be a person. Wonder is a very important part of creativity, and if you don't take time to marvel and delight in some very simple pleasures, it hinders your productivity the rest of the week. I find this has become a really fun thing. I literally will think of what feels really fun and pleasurable and not necessarily indulgent. I feel like there's a fine line between resting and rotting. Rotting is necessary sometimes. If you're recovering from heartache, you're going through a really rough season, laying in bed and scrolling or sleeping, that can be restorative as well. To build into your weekly practice, that's not necessarily rejuvenating in the same way as taking a healthy rest day. That's really fostering creative rejuvenation. Reclaim time as your own. In a world that says time is money, choosing to rest says time is mine. That's a radical and healing act. I feel rebellious every time I'm like, I rest on Sundays. I do get correspondence from work clients. I sometimes have the itch to work on a creative project. I don't make myself work on it though. I have to feel really motivated, like really dying to work on it. But if I'm feeling like I ought to, or I have to, I should, then I don't. I only want to have the energy of truly inspired, motivated feeling to really do good work. I tend to not like the work I produce when I feel like I'm making myself. I know there's this idea of you have to be very self-disciplined as an artist. This is true. You do have to be disciplined with your time, but part of that discipline is taking space for resting. I hope this information will inspire you to take a little extra time to just focus on yourself in a different way. Time always feels limited. I feel like it's always dripping away out of an hourglass somewhere, and the I shoulds and I have tos can creep in, and taking time and protecting that time to rest really feels radical. Take it from me, I'm telling you, it will help improve your productivity. If you're trying to start a new thing, if you have a lot of plates spinning, it's normal to feel overwhelmed. And just like an athlete has to rest, you do too. I promise this will actually really help you be even more productive. And the time that you do use to focus on your art or creative endeavors will be that much more productive. Thanks for watching. If this content is interesting to you, I hope that you'll subscribe, and I will see you soon.